Hi everyone, hearty welcome to this session on refugees. In this session, we will have an introduction to the first unit of the last module of the text, Issues that Matter. The subject of the module is refugees. What do you understand by the term refugees? For the time being, let's understand the term refugees as people who are forced to move out of their native country due to intolerable persecution or violence for some reason. Illegal immigration of refugees is now an international issue in many countries across the world and is one of the reasons for many international decisions like Brexit. Now on your screen you can see a photograph of a small little boy. Do you know who this boy is? This is the lifeless body of Alwin, a 3-year-old Kurdish Syrian boy who drowned along with his mother and brother while fleeing war-stricken Syria. This photograph, clicked by Nilüfer Demir, a Turkish press photographer, in 2015, turned out to be the defining image of refugees across the world. Recently, refugeeism became a hot topic of discussion in India too, in the context of the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. Therefore, being responsible citizens of India, it is essential for us to have a clear understanding about refugees and the problems faced by them. The first unit of the last module will help us to have a clear understanding of refugees and their problems. It is an essay titled Understanding Refugeeism, an Introduction to Tibetan Refugees in India, written by Mallika Misra. We had a brief discussion on the term refugees. Before we move on to the text of the essay, let's have a brief idea about Tibet and its refugees. Where is Tibet? As you can see in the map, Tibet lies in the northeastern part of India. It is known as the roof of the world. Tibet is now under the Chinese rule, and the People's Republic of China considers Tibet as its integral part. But Tibetans do not consider themselves Chinese. They believe that the Chinese have invaded their territory in 1950. In 1951, the Tibetans signed an agreement with China affirming Chinese sovereignty over Tibet, providing an autonomous administration led by Dalai Lama. But in 1959, the 14th Dalai Lama fled to northern India under cover, where he established the Central Tibetan Administration. Tibetan Autonomous Region within China was established in 1965. But by this, China divided the Tibetan region into 5 different provinces and gave autonomy only to its southwestern province. This is known as TAR, T-A-R, or Tibetan Autonomous Region. The influx of Tibetan refugees to India took place in 3 different stages. The first stage was in 1959, following the 14th Dalai Lama's escape to Dharmasala in India in fear of persecution from the People's Liberation Army. The second stage occurred in 1980s when China partially opened Tibet to foreigners. The third stage began in 1996 and continues today, although with less frequency. Not all emigration from Tibet is permanent. Today, some parents in Tibet send their children to communities in the diaspora to receive a traditional Tibetan education. According to the 2009 census, there are about 128,000 Tibetans in exile. Most of them live in countries like India, Nepal, and Bhutan. As a relief to the Tibetanese people living in India, about 3 years ago, that is in 2017, the Delhi High Court issued a ruling that Tibetans born in India between January 1950 and July 1987 can be given Indian passports. It was a long-standing demand of the Tibetan refugees in India. Otherwise, they cannot travel abroad because they do not have the citizenship of any country. Mallika Misra has written a book titled Tibetan Refugees in India, Education, Culture and Growing Up in Exile. Now on your screen you can see the cover page of the book. The unit we are going to study is an extract from this book. The extract begins with a poem by Tenzin Zinde. Who is this Tenzin Zinde? He is a Tibetan activist whose parents were forced to leave their country, Tibet, in 1959 when Dalai Lama fled to India, fearing persecution by the Chinese government. He has been involved in Tibet's independence movement since his student days. He caught the media attention in January 2002 when he climbed up the scaffolding outside the hotel where the Chinese president Zhurongji was staying in Mumbai. He displayed a banner with the words "Free Tibet, China Get Out" and a Tibetan flag. While shouting pro-Tibetan slogans, he was arrested by the Indian police. He was also in the news recently. Now we can see an article written by Tenzin Zinde in Hindustan Times in October 2019, hardly a year ago. If you are interested, you can also find him on Facebook. Here you can have a screenshot of his Facebook page. The extract begins with a poem by Tenzin Zinde. When I was born, my mother said, "You are a refugee." Our tent on the roadside smoked in snow. On your forehead, between your eyebrows, there is an R embossed, my teacher said. I scratched and scrubbed on my forehead. I found a rash of red pain. I am born a refugee. I have 3 tongues. The one that sings is my mother tongue. The R on my forehead, between my English and Hindi, the Tibetan tongue reads Rangzang. Freedom means Rangzang. The first line suggests that the identity of a refugee is fed into his subconscious mind ever since the moment of his birth by his mother herself. It is later reinforced by the teacher when she says that there is an R embossed on his forehead. The R for the teacher stands for refugees. The tent on the roadside refers to the makeshift tents used by the Tibetan refugees. The person of the poem tried his or her level best to rub off the scar R from his forehead, but all his efforts were futile. The only result was pain. Being a refugee living in India, he speaks 3 languages. But the language that sings is his mother tongue, Tibetan. But that language has been strangled by Hindi and English on both sides. This refers to the loss of their language and culture, how they are strangled to death. But the nationalist spirit of the poet is not ready to yield. In the last lines, he says, the R on his forehead does not mean refugee any longer, but Rangzang, which means freedom in his mother tongue. That's enough for this session. We'll begin the essay next session. Till then, bye.